Good afternoon, everyone. Nice to see you. I hope you're holding up well. What an inspiring day. I have a very short presentation that Jason asked me to deliver when he came to visit the DoSeum. He said, could you come and share some of the emerging tools and technology for learners? Running museums is my third career. I originally taught science, lab science, for 25 years, 15 of them in New York City. And I landed in museums because I discovered that planning learning environments in a museum is really challenging because if it's not great, people simply can walk away, and it really keeps you on your toes. So what I want to share today are some of the tools and the techniques we use to engage young learners in science, technology, engineering, math, literacy, numeracy, and the arts. It's an awful lot of fun. Here's the context. The DoSeum is at the center of Broadway's cultural corridor here in San Antonio. We see about 428,000 guests in a year. Our core team is about 106 employees, but we have 1,200 active interns and volunteers who really help us with the heavy lifting. It's 5.5 acres of land and about 243 sensor-enabled and interactive exhibits for young learners, and we also train educators. The relationship we have with formal educators, by that I mean classroom teachers, is special to us. I feel it's a golden age of informal learning. That means the learning that you do in the 94% of your life that you're not in a classroom. But teachers come to us and they're the best partners because we can co-develop new curricular structures and we can experiment with some pretty exciting technology. We'll start with a simple example. These immersive story spaces, this is the simplest one for the young learners. It is basically in our Hall of Literacy, and you'll see it's by design ambiguous. That spire in the center could be a mountain range, it could be the turret of a castle. You may see some question marks on the floor, and when a little kid stands on one of them, they may hear trumpets playing, and they'll see a coat or a cape with an ermine collar and transport themselves to a castle. They stand on another question mark, they may hear a train whistle and see a conductor's cap and begin to tell a story and begin a play environment where they are conducting a train through a mountain range. These immersive story spaces are focusing on really what I consider two global competencies for learning: creativity and imagination. And I'm afraid, and sometimes when I first started teaching, some of my lessons actually stripped that away. So we're trying to put the creativity and imagination back into early learning through play. The most sophisticated immersive story environment on campus is our Spy Academy, which is a hit. We co-developed 12 missions in partnership with the National Security Administration and UTSA. And we have young learners, typically 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 years old, come and solve 12 challenges. They have to use evidence-based learning. They have to use clues to solve a mission or a puzzle or a crime. They have to use code to access part of the exhibit. And it's actually a pretty robust form of early pre-computational thinking. We want young learners to see that code-based learning isn't this big scary thing that only smart people do. We really want every young learner to self-identify as an innovator. Last week, we added the ability to track their missions on these free wristbands. This is our nod to personalized learning. When a child comes to the Spy Academy, solves a mission, and is able to capture, archive, and retrieve their own data, they're really experiencing personalized learning and becoming part of a data community. So without getting too wonky, I'm going to walk you through a couple more slides and examples because there's so much to see and do at the DoSeum. Sensor-enabled interactivity is a big deal for us. These children on the left are sliding through a fruit field. Sensors will cause the fruit to ripen, to go from flowers to seeds. But they're sliding into an area called Sketchtown where they'll create, design, transportation and homes of what they think the future will look like. We'll talk more about that later in this presentation on crowd curating, but on the right-hand side, top, is our puppet parade that is a gesture-enabled sensory experience where the kids create a story through gesture. We really want them to value the kinesthetic hemisphere of learning. And then below, Baxter the robot looks a little menacing, but he's really friendly, and he responds to the kids by doing the same things they do with their bodies. Design thinking in 3D. I've been hearing about this all day here. Our take with little kids, we coded an app and we created the DoSeum City Lab. What we do is we ask children to design a city in 3 dimensions and a layer of augmented reality, and then to test that city's ability to withstand a flood by having a game-based concept where water washes over their design, and if they have enough green space, the city survives. It is a design task, it's gamified, it's fun, it's kid catnip. They love it. They want to try it again and again. Hybrid reality is a phrase I use. It's a book I read by Ayesha Khanna, who is a futurist. But at Museum World, we merged the augmented and virtual reality, and in one gallery, our Zachary Innovation Station, we have young children creating objects in a layer of augmented reality, and then transporting them into a virtual environment and manipulating them in 3 dimensions. These are early exposures to these design tasks and these projects that will happen in virtual spaces. If you've got a kid in middle school, you may see they're doing work like this in science class already. Moving quickly, crowd curating is a big idea, because for us, it's a transition point from merely interactive exhibits to the fully participatory. And you all know from reading Yelp and everybody's LinkedIn and Facebook feeds, we live with a rage to share, to show and participate. So these young learners in our exhibit, Dream Tomorrow Today, quite like future cities, design their own version of what transportation and housing would look like in the future. The interesting piece of this was they take their design, they scan it, sometimes with the help of a volunteer, and then it merges with the experience of others. It pops up in high resolution in 3 dimensions on an 80-foot interactive mural, and the children can approach their design, and it will rotate in 3 dimensions, and they see their initials on the side of the spaceship they've designed. It's fascinating to them. It's as though their idea is part of the shared experience of others. And to me, that's the high ideal of youth museums and museums for grown-ups as well. When people come and they feel that they're a part of it and they have created something and they can share it, it's why things like Meow Wolf and a lot of experience design has become so interactive, fully participatory. We love it. It's what we do. This was a very simple experience, but it was done up with some high resolution technology, and the kids absolutely loved it. I'll close by simply saying that the DoSeum is really, it's unlike any other children's museum, and I never pictured myself in a children's museum. I don't have any kids. I thought, what do they want with me? But I did have some policy training in cyber infrastructure at the National Science Foundation that brought me to the museum world. And when I saw San Antonio, I saw something really special. I think that everything they did in Brooklyn to create the hip epicenter of the universe, we can do better here in San Antonio. A lot of the work we do at the DoSeum is inspired by Northern European communities that are really, really famous for social innovation. We really are proud of the work we do, but we count on insight from up to 30 community partners each time we undertake a new initiative. So I will simply close by saying how grateful I am to be considered here and to show you just a quick snapshot of our exhibits. I hope that if you have time, you'll come and participate. Anyone can come at any time. We just simply love it, and I will say thank you again.